Welcome to Me Time with Mind Escape Vibe, where it is your time to be kind to your mind. I am so excited today for my guest. Oh my God. So, I want to introduce my guest, haSHONDRA,
Yes.
and I wanted to make sure I pronounced her name right. I've been practicing, y'all. I'm going to take a step back, and why don't you introduce yourself to the Me Timers?
Hey everyone. I am haSHONDRA, and I hold a lot of titles, but the most title that I'm most proud of, or the title that I'm most proud of, is just being a spark. I like to consider myself that person that comes into the lives of others just to unite the spark that's already there.
Ooh, so we're going to be sparking and igniting today.
Yes.
I am super excited to have you on as a guest. I like to start by asking about your mental victory vibe celebration. And that is what you've done for yourself lately, maybe this week or today, to pour into your own cup to start that spark, to ignite that spark. So, what have you done for yourself lately?
So one thing I did for myself, actually Wednesday, that was my high point. I found some butter pecan ice cream. That
Ooh.
was my high point this week. I've been wanting it. I've been needing it. But of course, we're on this health diet, and well, I wouldn't call it a diet, but this healthy lifestyle. And I was like, girl, now, if you get this butter pecan ice cream, you're not just going to eat a bowl. You're going to want the whole gallon. So for since Wednesday, I have been eating ice cream every single night, and I've been enjoying it.
I know that's right.
I have
Every
been
single
loving it.
night. Butter pecan. That's what I'm liking. All right. You're just loving on yourself and loving your body and not being caught up in diet culture. So I'm loving that you're like, I'm just going to enjoy every morsel, every bite, every bit of this ice cream. I'm loving that. What would you say is your personal empowerment theme song?
So my personal empowerment theme song is actually a song that I wrote called Freedom. And so the reason that I love this song so much is because freedom is so important to me. Free to be free in my mind, to be free in my personality, to be free in my spirituality, to be free in my sexuality. Freedom is just like a big part of my life. If I'm not free, then I'm in bondage. But if I'm in bondage, I want to be freely in that bondage. That it's a choice to be bound in that place. So the beginning of the song says, "Take me back to a time when I was free in my mind." And I remember when I was writing that lyric, I was thinking about when I was 5 years old, swinging on the swing outside at my grandparents' house. And I just felt so free. And someone snapped a picture of me that day. Oh my God, I was about to cry. Someone snapped a picture of me that day. And I have the picture, and my head is just held high. And my little ponytail is so small because I had short hair, and I had this big old bang, but I just look free. I remember that day very vividly, and I'm 37 years old, and I still remember that moment of freedom. So, in writing that lyric to the beginning of freedom, that's what I think about, just being free in my mind, being free in myself, being free with myself. So, freedom.
I love it. I love it so much. I can't wait to listen to it because that was one of the things that I was in search of, freedom. I wanted to just be free. We put ourselves in that mental bondage because of how we want to show up. And sometimes in doing that, we lose authenticity at the same time. And that is a form of bondage. You're not free when you're not walking authentically. I love that. I can't wait to share this song.
It
Super.
actually comes out today. So, yes.
I can't wait. Yes. So tell us about MAD.
MAD is a foundation that I founded about 7 years ago. And it actually was birthed from a place of healing. I needed to heal. I needed that safe place. So I wanted to create a safe place for other people. I know so many times we get in, or we go to conferences and we're being taught at. But I wanted to set up a place where you can actually talk, where we have a discussion question each month, and everybody has the opportunity just to express themselves, to answer that question, and to go deep. So MAT is a foundation that means is manifested deliverance. It's an acronym. And we motivate people to get mad the right way through healthy cycles by releasing, relaxing, and receiving. And we have 4 focal points, which are education, community, health and wellness, and empowerment. So yeah, I love MAD. MAD has helped so many women over the years just to become a better version of themselves, to be able for them to be able to sit into that place of comfort. And it's not something that is forced. Change is not forced in MAD. And that's what I explained to everyone who's a part. It's not a forced change, but it's an environment and a healthy environment for change to take place.
I love that. It's not forced and it's a healthy environment. So you walk right in just being able to be who you are and
Hmm.
to be a better version of yourself when you leave each time is helping individuals to create that lifestyle, because a better version of yourself is not something you do for a day. And
Right.
then it's like, oh, I got it.
And a part
No.
of our standards are freedom, diversity, and success. You know, you're
Wow.
free to be who you want to be. You can be diverse. We cater to every background. So we have people that's a part of MAD who are atheists, and then we have the top notch Christian, and then we have your married couples, and then we have the LGBTQ community. So we are so different, but our ultimate goal is success and to be successful as a foundation and also to be successful as an individual. And
I
about
love that.
90% of the foundation, they're all business owners.
It represents how beauty comes in many forms, which is the
Hmm.
theme for the month of June. And I love that many people of diverse backgrounds are a part of your foundation, because it's truly a safe space for them to be who they really are. And we're finding a lot, especially coming out of a pandemic, it seems like there was a lot of internal chaos within
Hmm.
some. And we're seeing a lot of that manifest today out in the world. I mean, so many things are happening, shootings and just the mental state of individuals. It is just really, really important to know that there is a safe space. And I do love also that you open it up to LGBTQ plus, because my baby, it's nice to know that my baby, that let me tell you something, don't get mama bear all riled up.
Right.
It's a safe space. You can walk authentically. And I'm
Hmm.
loving to hear that your organization, your foundation does that.
Yes.
What advice would you offer people who talk themselves out of their blessings because naysayers have become unwelcome guests?
Ooh, that's a good question. But within that question, there's a key or keywords that stick out to me: who talk themselves. So for people who need advice in that area, I would simply tell them, stop talking to yourself any kind of way. Make sure that you're changing your conversation with yourself. And when you change the conversation with yourself, the conversation of others shouldn't matter, because your voice should be the ultimate voice that you're hearing. I always say, I talk to myself, I listen to myself, and I grace myself. Those are standards and rules that I live by every day. Those are practices that I live by every single day. And I ask myself, haSHONDRA, what are you saying to you? Despite what anybody else has to say about you or to you or the advice that they have to give, what are you saying to you? Are you talking yourself out of love? Are you talking yourself out of success? Are you talking yourself out of being a good mom? Are you talking yourself out of being a good business owner? Are you talking yourself out of being a woman? What are you talking yourself out of when you should be talking yourself into those things with your daily affirmations? And I will also tell them to, or give them the advice of getting some affirmations that you can repeat daily and you can hold firm to. I have my affirmations that I say every day right now. Until they manifest, I'm going to continue to say them. I am that I am, and because I am, I can. And because I can, I will. I am one of the best-selling authors in the world for my book, Unattached, the final season. And I travel the world for great pay to motivate people through books, music, and events. I am healthy, I am wealthy, I am whole, and I am unconditionally loved by my soulmate. That covers every area of my life. And so when I'm in those places of not believing or questioning myself or having some issues, I say them. And I say them even when I don't believe them. I'm still saying them because myself is listening to what I'm saying.
Yes. So tell me what ignites you and sparks you to walk authentically and not in a form.
So, what sparks me to be just the authentic me is that there's no other person that I can be. The best job that I'll ever have is being me, and the worst job that I'll ever have is being me, you know? So, it's
Yes.
like the highs and the lows, but I can't be anybody else. I can only be a haSHONDRA. And in order for me to be haSHONDRA, I have to figure out who haSHONDRA is. So it's a daily journey for me. It's a process, and I also have to understand that who I was a month ago, I'm not that same person now. I was reflecting on an interview I had, and I listened to how I answered the question. And
Mhm.
after I answered the question, about a week later, my whole mindset changed. And I
Mhm.
said the way that I answered it that day was where I was. But where I am a month later, I'm not there anymore. And I'm okay with that. I'm finally at a place where I'm allowing myself to grow. I'm allowing my answers to grow. I'm allowing my beliefs to change. And I talk about that in my book. It's okay not to believe what you once believed. You got to be the most authentic person. And when people think about authenticity, they might think about, just being stable in that one thought. No, I'm always be this way. No, that's not making you authentic, because that's telling me that you're not growing in your mind. You have to grow in your mind, and growth is very important to me. So that's my spark, and that's what keeps me going. Just, I gotta be me. There's no other person I can be. I wasn't given another job.
Okay, you brought it up. Let's talk about this book, girl, because I am intrigued and I want me timers to hear it. Not only that, I want them to go out and get it. So let's talk about your book. When is it out already? When
It
does
is.
it come out? And what is it about? How can we use this book to just energize our lifestyle?
Yes. So my latest book is called Unattached, the Final Season. And it is my 20-year journey of discovering the authentic me in the area of romantic love. So, I mean, it's an amazing read. If I didn't write it, I would still read it, like no cap, because it's a universal book and it speaks to everybody. It's not just about love, but it's taking the lessons that I've learned through the process of loving and, hurt and pain, and how I've used that to grow. So, what I do in the book is I tell my story of how I lost my virginity. It starts off with my 22-year-old story, or my 22-year-old self telling my teen story of how I lost my virginity and the emotional trauma that it caused. And at 32, I answered myself.
Mm,
And at 36, I went back to my answers to see if I still felt that way. So
mm.
I re-answered myself and just elaborated on those answers. So it talks about a journey. And I don't end the journey at 36. I let people know I'm still growing. I am still growing. I do not know everything. I'm not acting like I know everything, but what I have learned, I can share, because that may be where you are.
That sounds amazing. It is the evolution of haSHONDRA. Mm.
Yeah.
We all have to evolve and change, and I can identify with that because what I would have answered and said with at 22 is way different than how I would answer right now at 50.
Yes.
It is very different. And when I think about it's funny because I think about my mindset at 22. And my mindset then was really about survival because I had a young child. Now I look back on it and I think about how we made it. And even though it was hard, I still made it. And the fun I had along the way, the evolution of self can mean going back and answering questions and looking at that time and re-answering those questions and see how your answers have changed. The freedom to be, and you've demonstrated that here today. I'm so excited. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
What limiting beliefs did you have to release to capture your freedom?
So, one main limited belief that I had was within religion. That was big for me. I grew up with a Christian background, and the way that I was living my life just didn't feel right for me. Not saying that Christianity isn't right, but some of the beliefs, the rules, the regulations that I came up under, it just didn't feel right. And I was like, I was in a position where I was in a marriage because I've been divorced for 5 years. And I remember sitting at my dining room table and I was like, okay, God, you know, um, if I didn't have this Bible, if no one ever told me about you, how would I know that you're real? I said, I
Mm,
need you to show me you because this Bible ain't working. I'm praying. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. My marriage falling apart. I'm broke. Like, what in the world? I'm unhealthy. I'm sitting over here 200 big. I've got cholesterol issues. What is going? I'm not. I'm at church. I'm tithing. I'm shouting. I'm on the praise and worship team. But I don't see you, God. I see you, but I don't see you. Like I know you real,
mm,
but I'm for real. Like you don't have to prove yourself to me. And this is how I'm sitting there talking to God. Like, come on now. And from that moment, my life changed forever.
mm,
And I didn't pick up the Bible for almost 3 years.
mm.
And it just was a total transformation. And I went back to just studying science. And the more that I studied science, the more I began to understand God. Just sitting in nature, looking at the simplicity of a seed, looking at the birds, being able to sit by the water and say, God created this and
Yeah.
God created me. I know that I'm more. Being able to speak to myself, not speaking the word, but getting that right now word from God, what I needed in order to connect with Him more. And that wasn't praised where I was from, to say affirmations or to meditate. That was witchcraft. And I'm like, but Jesus meditated on the mountain. And then when I say my ancestors, it was like, we don't say ancestors. But Jesus talked to Moses, who was dead. So it wasn't making sense to me. And when I spoke to my body be healed, mind be healed. Oh, well, you need somebody to lay hands on you. But I can lay hands on myself. I know that because I've been healed from laying hands on myself. So the things that I did wasn't familiar, and just had to change that mindset. Had to definitely change that mindset.
I teared up a little bit there. I'm glad you were speaking because it gave me a minute to collect myself. I understand what you're saying. When my father passed, I was 37 years old, and all I could think of was, God, why did you take him from me?
Mhm.
I still need him. I'm not ready yet. And I felt like that day was the day that I actually grew up.
Mhm.
And I remember the long walks and the long talks with God. Like, help me because I need to understand, who am I supposed to be?
Yes.
And it took time. It took me, I'm not gonna even lie, it took me about 10 years. And but my life changed because I
Mhm.
started to see the person I was supposed to be. And not only that, I always felt my dad's presence as I was going through that journey. So I can resonate with that. And I'm like trying to pull it all together because this airs in June, but we're recording this today, May 31st. This is my dad's birthday.
Oh, mm.
So to hear you say that, it makes me feel like he's here.
Yes, he
You
is.
know?
Energy never dies. When I'm cooking, sometimes I hear my grandma say, add some more salt. Energy never dies. When I'm in those dark places, I feel the presence of my grandfathers because they were the most evident. They were like those people to me. I really looked up to my grandfathers. And now I had 11 grandparents, and I dedicated my book to my grandparents, and I call them my wisdom.
Yeah.
And the last June, actually a few days ago, that's when my last grandparent actually passed away. And I remember looking up and I was talking to this individual at the time, and I said, I don't have any grandparents left. And I just bust out crying. And my friend said, I didn't even know my grandparents. And I
Mm,
said, wow, I had 11. And you're saying I never even knew mine.
yeah.
Like, yo, you tripping because you're actually really blessed to have experienced all of that wisdom in your lifetime. So I
Yeah.
never met mine.
Yeah. It's a different form of wisdom. I can say that my dad and had a form of wisdom that walks with me every day.
Mhm.
When I do things with my grandson and I'm not quite sure of the direction I want to take, I go look at his picture and say, okay, dad, how would you teach me this lesson?
Mhm.
Because that's what he did for me growing up. He taught me lessons that, when you growing up, you like, really, I'd rather be outside with my friends. Well, then, kids nowadays, they be like going outside, maybe not. But back then, you'd rather be outside with your friends. But now, especially throughout life, it's like I hear them more and more, and I'm like, oh, now I get it. So yeah,
Yes.
it's that wisdom. It's
Mhm.
definitely the wisdom that goes on with you throughout time. Often women will say to me, I am too busy.
Mm.
I don't have time for that. But every task at work has to be perfect. Every task in their personal life has to be right on point. And they have to exceed these self expectations that actually puts so much pressure on oneself, on themselves. What advice would you give to young women who are putting those expectations on themselves in a way that is causing so much pressure for them to not be free?
Yes. So, kind of a two-part answer. First, grace yourself. I think I said it, one thing that I do every day, I talk to myself, I listen to myself, and I grace myself, you
Mm,
know? And then there's one thing that I had to come to grips with. You're not going to be great at every single title every day, but don't continue to fail at the same title every single day. Some days for me, it's all about my business. My kids don't mess with me. I'm working on my business. I'm getting this done. Some days for me, it's all about the foundation. I'm out making connections. I'm doing what I need to do. Some days for me, don't talk to me about business because I'm with my family. Some days for me, I don't have this is my personal moment. Leave me alone. And so that just goes to tell people, make a plan. You have to
mm,
kind of figure out what works best for you in life with the understanding that you're not superwoman, no matter how big you think you are, how much you think you can achieve in one day. It's okay. I make a list every morning and I do it on my itinerary. And sometimes I physically write it down. And if I don't get through that list, I ask myself, why didn't you get through your list today? Were you lazy? If you wasn't lazy, were you too busy thinking about the list that you're not actually doing what's on the list? Because we can definitely do that. And that goes into overthinking. And that's what
mhm,
my business is about. Don't overthink me, LLC. Don't overthink yourself out of being yourself. Just be. And that's what we do. We begin to just nurse and rehearse. Oh my God, I got so much to do. You just spend 15 minutes saying you got so much to do instead of just doing it. Relax in that moment. Take it one task at a time. Stop all the multitasking if that's not where you need to be, if nothing is getting done. So I would simply tell them, make a plan, grace yourself, and understand that you're not going to be great at every title every day. And rest in that.
The second part to that question that I want to ask is, do you feel like, and what is your thoughts on, instead of do you feel? I like to say, what are your thoughts on those self expectations and falling into a culture of feeling like we have to be busy, we have to have these expectations, we have to put this pressure on ourselves. Do you feel do your thoughts and your point of view align with sometimes a limiting belief of how we are generationally taught to fall into that bucket and to move forward in this manner? And if not, what's your take?
So when it comes to just those self expectations, I had to deal with that myself. And I also had to dig down and understand that it links all back to self love.
Mm, I agree.
And for me, I had to tell myself, you love yourself. Right now, you just want to rest. Rest. You don't have to be busy, especially when you're an entrepreneur. I make my own schedule. So sometimes I don't want to do anything. And I had to tell myself, well, who's making you? Nobody's making you. You making you. But the reason that you're making you is because if somebody calls you right now, what are you doing? Oh, nothing. Just laying in bed at 12 o'clock in the afternoon because I work till 3 o'clock in the morning. But since it's 12 o'clock in the afternoon and, you know, society tells me that should be my lunch break, or my mind tells me that should be my lunch break, or, seeing other women in my family, well, that's making lunch for your husband, but I'm not married. So, and it's
Mhm.
like just those conditions, but it links back to self love and to being comfortable with yourself. So
I
don't limit
agree,
yourself.
especially in entrepreneurship, because you definitely have so many things, especially if you're solo, you're just starting and it's just you. You don't have a team.
Hmm.
Every day, your to do list could have 25 items on it. Every day, you have so many things to do, but you try to piecemeal all of those tasks.
Hmm.
At the end of the day, you're looking like, well, I started this. It feels like you never get anything finished.
Right. And know your capacity. That's one thing that I love
Yes.
about myself. I know what I can deal with. And I tell myself, I can't deal with that today. And then just understanding your emotions. But again, that all links back to self love,
Hmm.
understanding you as an individual and knowing what you can and can't do. And what you can't do, it's okay. Ask for help. I would, my friends know I will call, y'all want to help me deep clean my house? Y'all want to help me with this or help me with that, or I'll call my business partner. I'm a little overwhelmed, or I'll ask my kids when it comes to the foundation. Y'all, I'm a little overwhelmed. I need help. I had my oldest daughter and my youngest daughter helping me pack last night. I was just overwhelmed, and I just needed them. I needed help at the moment, so actually asking for help too. But I love myself enough to know that asking for help is not belittling me as a woman. I need help. I'm human.
Yes.
I'm okay. I just need help.
That's my mantra. It is okay to ask for help and it is okay to acknowledge when I am at capacity. Because
Yes.
I find that if I don't do that, I start snarky snacking. I'm reaching for whatever I can snack on to self soothe. And for
Yep.
me, food brings comfort. That's how I'm like, okay, if I eat this snack, then I feel a little better. But you know what? I'm still overwhelmed. So I eat another one
Hmm.
versus just taking a step back and saying, hey, I really need to just take a mental break.
Yep.
I need to just go and sit outside. And usually I'll do that. I have my two dogs. My kids I still have one at home, but the others are out of the house. So me and my dogs hang out quite often and they kind of know my cues as well. But I agree with you. I agree. It's okay to ask for help. And I think sometimes, especially when I started in entrepreneurship, I didn't think I could ask for help because sometimes I didn't know what to ask for. What advice would you give an entrepreneur that's like, yeah, I know I need help, but I don't know what help to ask for?
I ask myself that a lot. Because sometimes I'll say, I need help, but I can't, y'all can't help me until I do what I need to do. So, what I tell myself in that moment is relax. Whose timeline are you on? It's your process. It's your process. It's okay. Nobody's rushing you but you. And that's where again the grace comes in.
Yeah.
So that would go back to grace. Why do you need help? Do you need help because of this reason or do you need help because of that reason? Also self-evaluating. And that's something I do weekly. Self-evaluate. I do it daily, but I intentionally do it weekly.
So
I need to
basically, you're
self-evaluate
saying
me.
take a step back and ask yourself what you really need.
Yes. And do you really need it? Oh, so
So,
many times as entrepreneurs, we stress ourselves out about stuff that we don't have to stress ourselves out.
mhm,
And even though I have with the nonprofit, um, I consult with the women within the nonprofit, but for my business, I'm also a certified life coach.
mhm.
So with that, I'm talking to people and I'm giving them strategies and no shade to any client, but I listen to some of their issues sometimes and I'll just have to tell them this is a self-made issue. This is not even a real issue because this can be solved by you simply not doing this. Why are you stressing about this? This is unnecessary and not priority. What do you need to prioritize? Right now, you need to prioritize your mental health. So you don't need to be worried about this right now. Why would you add some more pressure when you already have this pressure? Level that out and be okay. Be okay
Mhm.
with not, being who you think you need to be at the time. Be who you need to be at the time.
Yeah, I definitely that resonates, and I can identify with that because you want to succeed. It's the
Mhm.
idea of I want to succeed, so I have to check all these boxes, and not taking the time to say, I can give myself time to check that box.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I can give myself grace to check that box. Wait a
Right.
minute. I can be still and come back
Yeah.
and check that box. So it's those deal breakers for yourself. It's
Uh,
boundaries for yourself.
yes.
We like to talk about setting boundaries for others, but how often are you setting boundaries with yourself? Because you're in competition with yourself.
Mhm.
I'm loving
And
that.
if it's not me versus me, then I need to check me.
Yes.
I need to check me. I don't need to check nobody else. Refocus that energy right where it need to be. If I want to cuss you out, I need to be trying to cuss myself out about why I want to cuss you out. I need to check me. Check me, haSHONDRA.
you know, I think maybe we should start a mantra of that. Let's we should have a day each week or a couple of days where you check you.
Mm-hmm.
Sit back and
Yes.
ask yourself those difficult questions in that still time. But I love that our conversation is really about really self-directed, it's self-directed healing. And at the same time, it's also helping any entrepreneurs, folks that are thinking about being an entrepreneur or that's really just battling with, I'm overwhelmed.
Mhm.
You know, how would you guide someone who struggles with setting boundaries for themselves?
And again, it goes back to self love
Mm.
because you have to first. I actually put out a workshop at the beginning of last month to help people with this cycle. It's called
Ooh,
Unrambling Me, the
ooh.
journey of self discovery. And within that workshop, I actually help people to utilize the tool of what you just asked about, setting boundaries. You first have to define self love.
Mm.
Once you define self love, then it's going to help with setting those boundaries in life because now you have a measuring stick. If you don't have a measuring stick, it's going to be hard to set those boundaries. So,
Mhm.
first, establish that measuring stick. Once you have that measuring stick established, utilize it. If it doesn't measure up to what you want, then it shouldn't be a question whether it be removed, if
Ooh.
that makes sense. So now, if there's an issue with that being removed, then you need to check your self love and ask yourself those cold, hard questions and just be real with yourself. And we always want to be real. I'm real, but are you really being real with you? The
Mhm.
questions that you want to dissect and ask other people, turn those same questions around and ask yourself. Well, why wouldn't I do this or why wouldn't I do that or I would never do this and I would never do that. You don't know that. You don't know that. You don't know that if you haven't been in that situation. So when it comes to setting those boundaries, have that measuring stick and utilize it for real. And I had a personal issue to take place where I had to really be like, haSHONDRA, man, you tripping. And you tripping. Stop. Because right now what's going on with you is fear. You're not
Mm.
you're not over you're not doing anything with your boundaries. You sitting here talking this foolishness to yourself. Oh, I don't want to go across my boundaries. I want to keep my no, you're fearful because this is a new place for you and you got to deal with you in a place that you might not have wanted to deal with yourself
Mhm.
before. So now all of these tools that you learned and all of these things that you put into play, now you is real, it's game time now, baby girl. You gotta utilize it for real. You gotta practice what you preach in an area that is hurtful to you.
You
Practice
know,
it now.
I have a question for you. And this is a question that I get quite asked quite often. How would you define self-love? So let me explain why I'm asking you the
Mhm.
question. I had someone say, well, what is self-love anyway? And it's just that it's that relationship with self. And we've
Yep.
talked about it. And we've talked about how we treat and how we talk to and how we see ourselves. But for a someone that's listening, and we can say this definition all day long, they're like, whatever, whatever. Okay. What would you say self-love is?
So self-love for me is a personal definition of how you view yourself and how you want to view yourself. Self-love can only be defined by you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's where you are in that
Mm.
moment and being comfortable with yourself in that moment. And as I said earlier, being comfortable with the most authentic version of me that I can be that day. And are you loving on yourself? If you sleepy, are you resting? If you want to hustle, are you hustling? You can only define your self-love. And we have to, as people and individuals, and especially as women, look for somebody else to define what we are supposed to be defining. We're looking for answers and we're asking people, well, what is self-love? What is self-love? You define your self-love. That would be my
Mm-hmm.
definition. How do you define it? I would revoke the question right back to them. What do you say self love is? What do you want? I would start asking them their goals, their dreams, their ambitions. How do they see their life?
Their
Because then, if you're
interest.
having an issue with defining self love, you have an issue with vision, or you're having a soul issue. There are some other issues that you need to uncover to get to the core of your issue of why you can't define self love.
I agree. It's the talent, time, and treasure.
Mm-hmm.
Take the time to get to know you.
Yes.
Know your talents and interests. What are you passionate about?
Mm-hmm.
And what and use that treasure. Use that treasure. Even if it's just a hobby. I can't tell you what to do, but I can walk alongside you and help you as you goal set.
And I tell people when we're talking about self love, everything you need, you already have. And I
Mm,
utilize this yarn. And sometimes we just have to untangle it. We
mm,
gotta, this is the unraveling process. We have to untangle it. And even if something gets cut off, it's okay because it can still be utilized. We can
mhm.
still add it. Those bad parts of our life, we can cut them off. We can get rid of them, but we can utilize them to help heal other people. So you just have to define things for how you need to define them for them to work for you. Because everything you need, you already have. It's all about you. You have to be selfish in order to give. You have to
Mhm.
have something to give.
So, with all of this and with everything that we said, we have a lot of young ladies coming up, and they look at us as aunties. They may call us this. Hey, sis,
Uh,
hey, auntie. You know how they do. You know how they do. What advice would you give your younger self to help cultivate self trust? And for the young ladies that listen to this podcast, that listen to this show, take some notes because you may need them later on down the line, or you may need them today.
so I would tell my younger self to live
Mm,
and don't dim your light. Live. Understand that we are put here to live. Life is a journey. We don't supposed to know it all. So younger
mhm.
haSHONDRA, you don't have to try to figure it out. Your job is to live and just be. That's the
Mm,
whole thing. Just be. Just be who you are in that moment. And like I said, I would have told myself, girl, shine. I know that you have a bright light, but don't dim your light for somebody else. Be bright. Be who you are, because that's what brought a lot of trauma into my life, not being able to shine like I wanted to shine because I would outshine. And I'm like, well, you got an issue, but I don't got an issue. So you mad at me because I smile all day? Now I'm
mhm,
mad at me because I smile all day. Now, I think it's an issue to smile
mhm,
all day. I'm like,
mhm,
but my mama smile all day, and so I'm taking after my mother
mhm.
because she's just friendly and happy. But since you bitter, you want me to be bitter. So yes, to my younger self and to young ladies, be you. Live your life and just be and grace yourself.
I love it. I have an affirmation card that says, no more dimming your light,
Right.
no more nipping and tucking your originality, and appreciate your uniqueness. And
Mhm.
I love that you've just reiterated that message because I think we forget because life is going to have its share of challenges but we grow at the same time. But don't allow it to dim your light. Still shine. I
Mhm.
love that. I love having you on today and I cannot wait for freedom because I need the song. I need the song. Okay, because I want to play it. I do. I want to
Yes.
share it. I cannot wait. And you've been such a joy to have on the show today. It is very, very nice to talk about how we can better ourselves and define ourselves the way we want to define ourselves in this life. And I think so often we forget that. And I'm
Hmm.
so glad that you brought that joy to Me Time with Mind Escape Vibe today. And I hope that you'll come back and
Yes,
bring us
it has
more joy.
been so much fun. Just talking. Yes. Love it. Thank you for having me.
So, Me Timers, you heard it here first. This is Me Time with Mind Escape Vibe, where it is your time to be kind to your mind. And I'm so grateful for my guests today to also feed into your time to be kind to your mind. You guys have a great day now.